Will recite Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato.
Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa.
Homage to him, the blessed one, the fully enlightened one. Welcome everyone to the Wednesday Dhamma reading session. We will continue today with the reading of Noble Eightfold Path explanation by our teacher Bhante Vimalaramsi. We have read in the previous Wednesday sessions right view, right thought, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, and today we are going to read right effort, Samma Vayama, harmonious practice. Now we come to another aspect of the Eightfold Path that is quite important. One of the best descriptions of the harmonious practice or right effort is when a person recognizes that the mind's attention has become distracted by a thought, feeling, or sensation. This is the first part of harmonious practice, right effort. In other words, the meditator notices when an unwholesome distraction arises. An unwholesome state is any kind of distraction that pulls mind's attention away from the object of meditation and smiling, causing mind's attention to get involved with it. That is, taking thoughts or feelings personally, atta. Next, the meditator lets go of the distraction and relaxes the tightness or tension in both mind and body. In other words, the meditator lets go of that unwholesome distraction by not keeping mind's attention on it and relaxes the tightness or tension in mind and body that is caused by that distraction. These distractions can be any of the hindrances, nivarana, and when indulged, they can stop the meditator from attaining full awareness, sampajanna. Anytime a meditator gets involved and becomes involved, anytime a meditator gets distracted and becomes involved with the dharma, they are not truly being in the present drama. They are not truly being in the present moment. As stated earlier, the hindrances, nivarana, are not to be fought with or pushed away. Why? Because getting involved with the drama of the hindrances makes them bigger, more intense, and harder to let go of. Every time meditators try to control their thoughts or feelings, they are identifying personally, atta, with it, and this causes more pain and frustration. Please don't fight with any hindrances. Instead, learn from it. Okay, I'll pause here and we'll learn. I think it is pretty much self-explanatory. This is the core part of the twin practice that we are doing. The right effort, the 6 R's, and Bhante here is explaining about how the mind's attention moves from one thing to another and how when our mind's attention has gone away, how we get involved with it, and when we how we are taking these things personally, and how we are not being in the present, and how this getting distracted with the hindrance and these hindrances, when we get distracted, they come along with tension tightness. And instead of directly pulling our attention back, we are relaxing the tension tightness in both mind and body and bringing it back to smiling and the object of meditation. The right effort part and then full awareness. Of course, we feel that sometimes we get involved and we feel that we are aware, but the awareness is in clinging, not in the present, not at the feeling level or at the craving level. The mindfulness is not fully established. So for us to have that, we have to know that the mind has been distracted and gone taken away with a distraction. And Bante is asking us to not push or fight with our hindrances. They are our teachers. We have to learn from it. And we are, we should not control any of the thoughts or hindrances that are disturbing our meditation. Instead, we have to learn from it, accept them that they are there, know that what craving is underlying it, and with our awareness and mindfulness established, using the right effort, letting them go, relaxing, and bringing the attention back. Nanda, madam, would you like to continue from here?
Yes. Um, please don't fight with any hindrance. Instead, learn from it. See how mind's attention actually gets pulled to that hindrance. It will teach you firsthand how dependent origination occurs. Fighting or trying to control a hindrance is the cause of the tightness or tension, which is craving arising. This happens every time a mind's attention gets pulled away, and this causes craving, tanha, clinging, upadana, and a habitual tendency, bhava, to arise. There are three very important parts of dependent origination to be recognized and observed closely. The habitual tendency bhava always reacts in the same way when this sort of distraction arises. The more one sees clearly how these different aspects of dependent origination occur, the easier it is to let them go. This is a part of the way that leads to the cessation of suffering. The letting go or letting be, relaxing and smiling is the second part of the harmonious practice, right effort. The term letting go means that the person no longer keeps mind's attention on that distraction. So, to be even more precise, we can say letting the hindrance be there without giving it any more of mind's attention. Now the person gently directs mind's smiling attention back to the object of meditation, the breath and relaxation, breath and relaxing, or metta and relaxing. This is the third part of harmonious practice, right effort. In other words, bring up a wholesome object, and this means smiling, and the meditation object. This is the third part of harmonious practice, right effort. Then the person stays on the meditation object and smiles for as long as they can naturally. In other words, the meditator relaxes and lightly stays with the meditation object. The key word here is lightly. Don't use a death grip to stay with the breath and relaxing, or metta and relaxing. The harmonious practice is not a way to shield or block the hindrance from re-arising. It will come up again and again. So the meditator uses this as an opportunity to learn. Eventually, the hindrance will fade away and the meditator will like what comes next. Promise. Once again, there is a very effective way of remembering how to do this practice. It is called the 6 R's. To recognize that mind has become distracted away from the object of meditation, to release or let go of or let the distraction be without keeping mind's attention on it, to relax the tightness or tension caused by that distraction. This means to let go of the craving caused by that distraction, to re-smile, to bring a light mind that is very alert and calm to the meditation object, to return mind's joyful attention back to the meditation object, the breath and relaxing, or metta and relaxing. To repeat the task of staying with the meditation object, relaxing and smiling. These are the 6 steps. The smile is actually a very good tool to help mind stay uplifted and with the awakening factor of joy in one's mind. Every movement of mind's attention is seen very quickly and clearly. That is to recognize, release, relax, re-smile, return, repeat. These words do not have to be said internally to oneself. The meditator needs to roll their R's so it becomes a flowing action of allowing whatever arises to be there by itself. The 6 R's are just a reminder to let go of any distraction that pulls mind's attention away from the object of meditation. They also help us to come back to the meditation object with a happy, clear mind that has no craving or clinging in it. In other words, by letting go of craving and clinging and any idea you may have of a personal self is how to purify mind of all kinds of troubles, cravings, and fetters.
Okay, we'll pause over here and go back and learn the 6 R's again and again so that we can practice it all the time. Yes, Nana madam, would you like to just reflect back on what you just read and rewind us?
So, when our minds get pulled to a hindrance, um, we are first of all teaching ourselves how dependent origination occurs. Fighting or trying to control a hindrance is the cause of this tightness and tension in our body and mind, which we call a craving. Um, this happens every time my attention gets pulled away. Um, so this causes a craving, clinging, and habitual tendency. Um, these are the three very important parts of dependent origination. Um, we need to recognize and observe closely the habitual tendency, which is bhava, always is uh, reacts in the same way when this sort of distraction arises. Um, so we must see this very clearly, how these different aspects of dependent origination occur, and we need to learn to let them go. Um, this is a part of the way that leads to the cessation of suffering. Um, the letting go or letting be, relaxing, smiling is the second part of the right effort, which Bhante Vimalaramsi call harmonious practice. So the letting go means the person no longer keeps mind's attention on that distraction. Um, Precisely, we can say letting the distraction be there without giving it any more of mind's attention. Um, so we need to gently redirect mind's smiling attention back to the object of meditation. Um, Here it says the breath and relaxing, or metta and relaxing. Um, in most of us, it is the radiating feelings of loving kindness. So this is the third part of the harmonious practice, which is right effort. Um, so if we say the same thing in a different way, we bring up a wholesome object. What that means is we smile, and the third part of the right effect, right effort. Um, then the person stays on the meditation object and smiles for as long as they can. Naturally, this happens. In other words, the meditator relaxes and lightly stays with the meditation object. So the key word here is lightly. Um, don't grip your attention or the breath. Um, just relax, lightly relax the body and the mind. We don't need to shield or block the hindrance. It'll re-arise again and again. But so when this happens, we got to uh, take this as an opportunity to learn. So eventually, when we practice the 6R, the hindrances will fade away. And here, Venerable Vimalaramsi says, the meditator will like what comes next, and he promised. I think what he's talking about is our mind will move naturally to samadhi state when all our five hindrances fade away. So one of the very effective ways of remembering this technique is the 6R, which is recognize, release, relax, re-smile, return, repeat. Um, so Bhante Vimalaramsi is saying we don't have to say this 6 words internally to ourselves. Um, we need to allow these 6 words, the intention behind these 6 words to naturally flow. And he says it's like rolling the R's. Um, so 6R is just a reminder to let go of any distractions that pulls mind's attention away from the object of meditation, mainly radiating unconditional loving kindness to ourselves and to all the living beings. Um, so when we practice this, um, we feel happy and our mind becomes clear, and uh, the mind has no craving or clinging any longer. So, in other words, when we learn to let go of craving and clinging, and um, and the feelings of I, me, mine, myself, which is the personal self, when we let go of that, what we are doing is we are purifying our mind with um, um, all kinds of um, wholesome states, and we are getting rid of troubles and cravings and fetters, and we become relaxed and happy. And naturally, when all the hindrances disappears, naturally we flows into samadhi state.
Yes, thank you, madam. And it's wonderful that every time we do this 6 hours, we have been doing this, but reading this taking us back to what is internally happening, and it has different perspective when you read it for the third time, fourth time, fifth time. As you keep practicing, the mind keeps learning it at different levels. It's like that. Shall we continue, or anybody has to just share about something that we just read regarding the right effort? Archana, madam, do you have something to share regarding
No,
right effort?
no, I've learned a lot. In fact, while meditating or for the whole day, many a times mind gets distracted. So this practice is required. I've learned a lot from here. And harmonious, uh, is that harmonious?
Harmonious practice.
Harmonious practices is required for all 24 hours, and I could learn well. Harmonious practices when get distracted, mind gets distracted. So that time we should release where we have got distracted, and our main practice is to radiate uh, love and Mangal Maitri. So we should concentrate on that. Not we should, we can concentrate on that when we release that as a tension. It's very nice. Tightness and tension, which makes us get distracted. Very nice, very nice. And get to learn this. Thank you.
Yes. Okay. I think we still have so much time left. We'll continue with right mindfulness or harmonious observation.
Yeah.
Sati.
Okay, I'll read it.
Yeah, okay.
Sammasati, harmonious observation, right mindfulness. This part of the eightfold path has been spoken about in very general terms. However, the definition of mindfulness, sati, has never been very clear. This is one of those words that everyone is supposed to know the definition of, but few people actually do. Many teachers totally will give the definition of mindfulness by saying just be mindful. Another definition that has been used is to remember, which sounds great but has very little meaning. Now, what is all of this supposed to mean? We really need to understand that this important word must have a clear and understandable definition. Here is a working here is a working definition that words all of the time in every situation. Harmonious observation, right mindfulness means to remember, to recognize any distraction that pulls one's attention away from their object of meditation or whatever task you are doing in life in the present moment. This means to remember to observe whatever arises in the present moment, let it be, and to see the impersonal nature in all of these phenomena, harmonious perspective, right view, anatta. This is remembering to clearly observe how mind's attention moves, harmonious movement from one thing to another, and also remembering to let go and let the harmonious practice right effort to 6 hours do as work. Samma Samadhi, harmonious collectedness. Uh,
Madam,
task.
we just reflect back and then move ahead.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. What I feel is it's very important that how the observation not can be. I don't know how to use this uh, in sentence, but the observation should be very clear that whatever we are doing at that moment, so that should be mindful in the sense whatever we are doing, it should have a pure intention, and that intention shouldn't get distracted. So, what is the definition of this mindfulness? Is teachers ask that be mindful, but what does it mean by? So, it does mean by uh, be remember whatever we are doing. Remember. So, this is a very small meaning. Then, what is the right meaning? The right meaning is we need to understand the importance of uh, understandable definition is and workable is whatever is going on. First understand, recognize that what is the distraction. The distraction uh, is bringing away from the object of meditation. So object of meditation should be very clear to us, so we'll understand that where we have got distracted. That's what I have understood.
Okay. Actually, as you just stated, these things that are right mindfulness, right effort, right intention, right view, all these revolve and work together. So, just having mindfulness established without the harmonious practice or the right mindfulness, we cannot be able to use the right view if we do not have right mindfulness established. Then we do not have right view, we cannot practice the right effort. But instead, when we have right mindfulness, like, as the definition says, whenever the mind is distracted, we are mindful and we are looking at it, and then we are bringing it back using the right effort, bringing back it to the present moment and knowing what thought we are having, what work we are doing. This present moment awareness, mindfulness, is harmonious, and along with it, we have to practice right effort. Along with right effort, we have right view, then only we can practice right effort. So all these things work together.
Yeah, very true. Very nice. Thank you.
Samadhi. I think this is the last part. Where does it end? Is it?
It's a big one.
I think this chapter is.
Do you want to stop now?
No, I think we can continue, but it is lengthy. We'll see. Maybe we can stop at 8:15. We still have time. Yeah. Samma Samadhi. Paul, can you read? I think Paul just stays calm. Okay. Okay.
I'd rather not read. Sorry.
Okay, no issues. Keep smiling and practice is the most important thing. Reading, you can read it by yourself when you have free time.
Shall I read? Because I
Okay.
like it
Yes.
while reading only, understanding a lot.
Yeah, okay, yes, you can read.
Yeah. Samma Samadhi. Harmonious collectedness. Right concentration. Now we come to the part of the eightfold path that has many different interpretations and many different ideas attached to it. The confusion starts by taking what some of the commentaries say and then placing uh, too much emphasis on them. Again, some commentaries are good and very useful, and some don't agree too well with the foundation teaching of the Buddha. The way to know for yourself whether a commentary is good to use or not is by comparing what is said with the suttas, discourses, and the Vinaya, rules of discipline. If they agree with the suttas and Vinaya, then one can be reasonably sure that some commentaries are reliable. But when a commentary divides up the practice into many separate pieces of it tends to make things very difficult to understand and practice. Then it may be a good idea to let that kind of commentary stay on the bookshelf and be used as a reference book instead of a main resource to follow. Note, it is good idea to use more than one sutta for comparing in that way when many suttas seem to agree that you can be reasonably sure that this is the Buddha's teachings. Here is something very interesting about the words insight and serenity, vipassana samatha. When we go to Majjhima Nikaya, middle length sayings, second edition, wisdom publication, Bhikkhu Bodhi's translation, and look up in the index of subjects the words serenity and insight, we will see a striking similarly that shows that both of these words are used together almost always. Please, on page 1397, the word insight is mentioned and has many suttas to go for reference. Here are a few suttas so you can compare them 6.3, 6.3, 32.5, 43.14, 73.18, 77.29, 149.10, 159.19. Then we go to the word serenity on page 1404. And these sutta references are 6.3, 32.5, 43.14, 73.18, 77.29, 14.10, 151.19. Do you see the similarities in the numbers of the suttas and even the sections that they are being used in? The point is that serenity and insight are almost always mentioned together, and this gives us a clue that they are, as says in Sutta 149.10, yoked together. This means that the Buddha was talking about one type of meditation practice and includes both serenity and insight, samatha vipassana, together at the same time. Also, this means that the jhana, which is so often mentioned in the suttas, is a very specific type of meditation level. Why? This is because the kind of jhana that the Buddha taught us in Samatha Vipassana jhana. It is not to be confused with the ecstatic or absorption type of one pointed concentration jhana, which is mostly being taught today. The dividing up of samatha and vipassana into two separate types of meditation, the meditation tends to make the meditations quite complicated and one's progress. If it exists at all, seems to take a very long time. This goes against one of the things that describes the brilliance of the Dhamma. That is that is the explanation that the Buddha's teachings are immediately effective. When that one extra step of relaxing and letting go of the craving is added, the meditator's progress is in understanding and personality development. An entire attitude toward all life seems to improve greatly and reasonable quickly. In the Dhammapada, the Buddha said, "We are the happy ones," and this is what happens when the meditator follows the instruction in meditation precisely, then relaxes, then smiles often. The importance of practicing samatha vipassana and meditation is in exactly the same way as the suttas tell us to can't be overstated. Why? Because we don't add the extra step in relaxing one's mind and body on the in breath and relaxing on the out breath, which is the letting go of craving. Then the meditation changes from being a samat vipassana type of meditation to a one pointed type of concentration. They are different practices, they are different results. When the one pointed concentration is used, it supposes the hindrances nivarna by the force of the concentration. This includes access concentration, upakara, upakara samadhi, as well as absorption concentration, apana samadhi. The hindrances nivarna are where one attachment to the personal self are stored. When one practices one pointed concentration and the force of one's concentration pushes down a hindrance, it is not considered to be purifying the meditator's mind in the same way as Buddha taught us to practice. Anything that is supposed anything anything that is supposed is not let go of, but it's stopped from arising while the strong concentration is present. The suppressed hindrance has a real tendency to arise even more strongly when the meditator's one pointed concentration weakens. With the practice of samatha vipassana or the letting go and then relaxing, over time the hindrance nirvana will fade away, never to arise again. The samatha vipassana meditation is the way to actually purify one's mind. During the time of Buddha and after his death, the Brahmins were continually working to change the meditation so that is agreed with their philosophies, concepts, and writings. They took up they took up using the word jhana and gave in their own definitions, which basically meant one-pointed concentration and the uh, conveniently, convenient, conveniently left out the one step that changes the entire meditation and serenity. Inside Samat Vipassana to a one pointed concentration or absorption concentration. Also, they took some of the most popular words and gave them different meanings just to confuse the issues. According to Rai Davids, the word samadhi was never used before the time of the Buddha. The Buddha made this word up to describe samatha vipassana meditation, which, when practiced in the way he describes it in the instructions, leads directly to Nibbana. Of course, during the time of the Buddha, there were many words in Sanskrit to describe one-pointed concentration, and this type of meditation went along very nicely with the ways of practice. When added, when added to the meditation practice, this extra step of relaxing is the way to recognize and let go craving, tanha. This is why relaxing is so important and is specifically mentioned in so many suttas. When we see that all the noble truths are about letting go of craving and relaxing of the tightness or tension in one's body and mind, it only makes sense to relax or tranquilize often. Don't you agree? Doesn't it seem to make sense to let go of craving as much as possible because it is the origin of suffering? It is the origin of suffering? This is actively releasing and purifying mind. When the Buddha came along and chose the word samadhi to describe samadhi vipassana, samma, samma samadhi or harmonious collectedness, the Brahmins began to use the same word samadhi with their own definition of one pointed concentration. They effectively divided the meditation of samatha vipassana and made it into two separate practices, that is samatha meditation and vipassana meditation. The success in meditation, sorry, the success in meditation and experiencing nibbana began to fade away about 1,000 years after the Buddha's death because commentaries choose to look at things in this way because this was taken to be the way of meditation about 1,000 years after the Buddha's death. In some commentaries, the success of meditation and experiencing nibbana began to fade away. Many different schools of thought began to argue philosophically about that was the correct way of practice. But as you know, philosophy is the use of words without any action, and this began to change the whole way of looking at the Buddha's teachings. Let us now take a look at harmonious collectedness, right concentration. In the text, it mentions often that this full of the eightfold path is the experiencing at least one, if not all the samatha vipassana jhana. I'm going to add to each of these jhanas the type of jhana one experiences. The reason that I include the type of jhana is so that there is no confusion about just what the Buddha taught as far as the jhana is concerned. Please, Romi.
Okay, we'll
First,
wait here. We'll pause over here and maybe
yeah,
continue the Jana's part next week.
yeah,
No,
yeah.
no, I think we can continue.
Today itself.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's little bit. I will read, or maybe Nanda madam, because you have read a
please,
lot already.
please. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Do you want me to read that?
So
Yes, you can read.
let's first
Um,
discuss
the
what this
fir-
is collectedness.
Archana ji, can you mute?
the first samatha vipassana jhana as opposed to the first absorption jhana. The second samatha vipassana jhana as opposed to the second absorption jhana. The third samatha vipassana jhana as opposed to the third absorption jhana, and the fourth samatha vipassana jhana as opposed to the fourth absorption jhana. The four immaterial jhana, arupa samatha vipassana jhanas, are included in the fourth jhana since they are different aspects of the deep equanimity found in the fourth jhana. Nowhere in the suttas does it say anything about the practice of apana samadhi, full absorption concentration, upakara samadhi, access or neighborhood concentration, or kanika samadhi, moment to moment concentration. These are the only mentioned in the Theravada commentaries and don't seem to agree with what the suttas and Vinaya say about the way to attain the full understanding of how dependent origination or the Four Noble Truths actually occur. You can see as we go along the Eightfold Path, these different folds are interwoven and are not separate parts to be taken apart and used. The entire Eightfold Path works together. The path the path works as an interconnected whole process of seeing, understanding, and letting go of all personal beliefs in a self. In a way, you could see the different parts of the Eightfold Path as if they were separate pieces of a motor. The motor won't run unless all of these parts are put together correctly. When one sees all of the different folds of the Eightfold Path at the same time, this is the way of making this path a good working tool. Separately, these folds may work to a limited degree, but when they are all folded together, they work extremely well. Even today, Nibbana can arise.
Wonderful reading. Actually, this Samma Samadhi, the collectedness of the mind. This is where actually Bhante has given the in-depth description about how it has originated, what does the text speaks of, and where in which number of suttas we can find this samatha and vipassana together. And definitely we have suttas that tells don't believe in whatever the Buddha has said. You actually practice it for yourself. And then if you can look it for yourself, then it's right. Don't believe whatever it's been written. And then regarding the commentaries, I think we don't go to the commentaries and stick to suttas, it's better. And then regarding the jhanas, regarding the type of uh, concentration, type of awareness, and definitely the smiling, we are the happy ones, and the relaxing and letting go, the right effort. Actually, this Samma Samadhi has all of the Noble Eightfold Paths together. When one keeps their precepts, when one practices Samadhi, then only they have this collectedness of mind. They have this wisdom developed. This is all these all of things are interconnected and intertwined, should be practiced, and one cannot separate only one thing and do that for a while. Actually, all these to be practiced together. And here regarding the Samadhi word, also how Brahmins in the time of the Buddha used this word Samadhi for one pointed concentration, but the actual meaning of Samadhi was used by Buddha to describe Samatha Vipassana jhanas, or the harmonious collectedness of the mind. And later on, after the Buddha has died, how this concentration or the Samadhi word has been separated, and they have started practicing Samatha concentration and Vipassana meditation separately. And here Bhante has given us regarding the collectedness of the mind, regarding the different jhanas, Samatha Vipassana jhana. Bhante is calling them as Samatha Vipassana jhana. And of course, there are these different type of absorption type of concentration are not stated in suttas. And I like this ending, the way Bhante has ended this entire explanation of the Noble Eightfold Path. That was actually coming up in my mind, and Bhante has because I have already read, maybe because of that, my mind put it up uh, regarding how these all folds of the Noble Eightfold Path come together. And great. And how our mind stays on the object of meditation, how long it is staying. We can see how our mind is getting collected and not holding on to it. Bhante said, lightly staying with the object, not restricting it or pushing it away, or just holding on to it object tightly. Just lightly staying with the object. Anybody has any thing to share?
I think I'm very grateful to you and Sachin for choosing this chapter. it is very practical and it's very informative, and it does definitely shows how important for us to keep the precepts and then practice the right effort, as Bhante Vimalaramsi has introduced to us. When we practice the right effort, everything changes in a very positive, beneficial way. Everything becomes so easy. And when we practice right effort, right mindfulness, just naturally develop. It's a byproduct. Mindfulness is the byproduct of right effort. And when we keep on simply observing and not giving any attention to hindrances, our mind naturally flows into samadhi state where the insight occurs and happens, and we become aware how our mind works actually. The insight naturally occur that the three marks of existence we can experience, everything subject to change, everything is impermanent, and we get the sense that there is inherent unsatisfactoriness in life, mainly due to this thirst, tanha, and then when we practice right effort, we are developing this unattachment, detachment, anatta. We naturally tend to take everything impersonally, because when we practice right effort, it's very clear that it is so important for us to relax our body. And then when we relax our body, our mind becomes naturally calm, and it is so peaceful and it's so pleasant. Naturally, a smile happens in our face, and it's a naturally we tend to move into samadhi, and naturally insight occurs. And the more we practice, we are very definitely going in the right direction to experience nibbana. This right effort is so very easy to practice, not only when we are practicing sitting meditation. We can practice right effort when we are walking, practicing walking meditation, and also day-to-day daily activities. I have heard that so many students have experienced advanced jhana simply by practicing the right effort, as Bhante Vimalaramsi has explained. It is a wonderful reading, gives so much insight into our own daily practice and how the four Brahma Viharas has a natural effect on the meditator, has a naturally the behavior changes in such a profound way. Thank you very much for choosing this reading. It's a great reading. Thank you.
Thank you, Nanda madam.
Thank you, Nanda madam. Very nicely explained. I want to add only one word is ignorance gets vanished.
Archanaji, can you repeat? Ignorance is?
Ignorance is getting vanished because now the realization has comes through all these practices. So it's very good to understand why we are going towards dukkha. It's just because of ignorance and all this eightfold path, all these practices add on it that why the whatever Nanda madam said. I just want to add only one word, that ignorance of all this, ignorance of knowledge, because I've not yet not mastered even. I'm just a beginner for this, but still I'm understanding that there is some reason, particular reason of dukkha as I take.
Yeah, I do agree with you there. When you practice right effort, you become so aware of the Four Noble Truth and the dependent origination, mainly the craving and clinging and the habitual tendencies, which has just such a transformation, a profound effect on an individual, how we see the external world and how we can reduce the attachments to desire and hatred and delusion. You're absolutely right. The mind automatically get cleared by practicing the right effort, because the ignorance is gradually reducing and wisdom arises. Yes, I agree with you there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we can share the merits now. Your hands together and we can all read it together. Share some merits. May suffering ones be suffering free and fear stuck fearless be. May the grieving shed all grief and may all beings find relief. May all beings share this merit that we have thus acquired for the acquisition of all kinds of happiness. May beings inhabiting space and earth, devas and nagas of mighty power, share this merit of ours. May they long protect the Buddha's dispensation. Sadhu,
Sa,
sadhu, sadhu.
sa. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
May be well and happy. May all be happy.
Thanking you all, wishing all happiness. Thank you, Nanda madam. Thank you, Archana madam. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Sindhu.
Thank you, Sindhu ji.